Right, and let's have a little rant. I've been in China for 6.5 weeks now, and I've seen even more of how everything is because we've done that road trip that we did. It's quite astonishing how different provinces, different cities, people behave and drive totally different. All I can say is I reckon we're going to have a serious problem with not just the youth in England, but I just put my finger on it, maybe 30-40% of the youth in China was brought up by their grandparents because mummy and daddy was too busy going out making a living. Now, the grandparents here in China, not forgetting, is 2 generations ago, so they probably had nothing, and now the family's better off, so the grandparents spoil the kids rotten, and they don't teach them manners, they don't teach them the right or wrongs of this world, because the culture, everybody is behaving in a similar fashion. The spitting, the non-empathy is astonishing. That being said, I still prefer the society here because that is just a different culture and the mannerism of people in China in general. You can't beat the safety in China and the convenience. So outweighing the pros and cons of China and the UK, I would personally still prefer China. Those are little things that I'm slowly getting used to. Again, that's just a different culture, but at least the youth isn't hanging around street corners in their hoodies, terrorizing people, carrying knives, and demanding respect out of nothing. You know, here in China, everybody just mind their own business. It's just me personally, I would say that I'm very inquisitive, and I look around and see how society is. You know, the safety factor, you cannot beat China. There's just no crime whatsoever. I left the keys in this car for 14 hours on the outside car park with the daytime running light on, so it was quite obvious the car was on with no one in it. I had a boot full of all my stuff, had my drone in here, came back 14 hours later, no one touched it. They leave the keys in the e-bike overnight, leave the keys in the e-car overnight, the bikes are unlocked downstairs. No, not a problem at all. It's just I have to still get used to the way people drive here. I mean, is because driving in the UK for the last 30 years or plus, being a cabbie for 20 years plus, I'm so used to the way we drive in the UK. Unfortunately, I've picked up the bad habits of the way people drive here in China, in the instance that don't worry about the giveaway, if there's a gap just go for it. In fact, if you don't, you cause more problems for the people behind, because the people behind don't realize you're going to stop. So it's just like in Vietnam and Thailand, you know, when we were there, you just got to go with the flow. You know, Vietnam is very, very chaotic, and if you drive any other way than the people drive or ride a motorbike in Vietnam, you're going to be in serious trouble, because the flow of traffic, you just got to keep with the flow of traffic. Now, convenience, you know, high-speed rail, it connects most cities one way or another, and it's affordable. Again, the niece is coming down from Fuyang, where we were. She's on a overnight sleeper, because the difference between the overnight sleeper and the bullet train was only 2.5 hours, and the cost was double. So it was 40 something pounds, 45 pounds for the bullet train to go 1,300 kilometers, or you go on a sleeper, which takes a few hours more at half the price. So, you know, they have a bed, so and it's an overnight, so it's a no-brainer. There's no need for her to be on the bullet train. I love the bullet train. It's just, you know, fascinating for me to see the speedometer on the display to go 350, 360 kilometers an hour. And this, you know, it's so quiet, it's so steady. In fact, the noise is just the ambient noise, where, you know, people are talking loudly, and kids screaming, grandparents screaming. So yeah, I mean, I think they've got a long way to go yet in terms of empathy. You know, again, back to my video maybe 8 months ago saying personal space, people don't care much about personal space. It narrows it back down to that point, that it's that factor really. They don't have personal space and they don't have empathy much in terms of other people's surrounding and what have you. Now, since I've been here, I've been trying to avoid the news, but because I'm uploading videos on YouTube, and I do follow a few YouTubers and see what's going on in the world in that sense, because again, I don't watch CNN, I don't watch BBC, it's a load of rubbish. I get my current affairs from certain channels such as the Duran, they're the best, and a few others, but it's just all about same old thing: conflict, Ukraine, Israel, bombing Iran, wanting to start a war with Iran. It was a very disappointing result for the Taiwanese election, I must say. I was hoping that the DTP wouldn't go in, but they are, and we'll just have to see. But I'm not an expert in politics, and a friend of mine explained to me it's not as bad because they lost a lot of seats. So we'll see. We'll just watch this space. Again, next week, the US is sending a delegation to Taiwan, talk about arms sales and what have you. And again, turn the table. If China went to Hawaii and started selling arms to them, what would happen? Same thing. Or if the Chinese Navy decided to sail across the Atlantic or Pacific, whatever the ocean it is, and start going just outside their waters, in international waters, just going up and down, up and down. Again, double standards at its best. But I'm just trying to stay away from these current affairs. But you know, I'll get enough of that when I get back to the UK next month. You know, on the radio constantly, Sunak this, Sunak that, Britain's funding this, abroad this, and UK's crumbling, and they're sending more money abroad. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I just wish I didn't have to go back to the UK, but it is what it is. If anyone follows any other channel, condolences to Guilo 60 Kirk. It's good to see him back in China. Again, very, very sad loss. I hope one day we can have a beer on Weizhou Beach. And it's mid-January and it's 25 degrees currently outside, 10:15. Lovely weather, partly why I chose Weizhou. It's got a very mild winter, but saying that, there's a cold front coming in, so we're down to about 11 degrees during the day next week and 6 degrees at night. That's going to be hard because we don't have any carpets or central heating, anything like that. So that will be interesting, but we're heading down. I'm taking the little one down to Hong Kong to visit some relatives. So let's see, I will be doing some vlogs over there. But in general, I've come to understand the Chinese society more and more every time I'm here. There's no perfect society, there's no perfect country, but for my personal experience is that safety, convenience, cost of living, that's another thing. Cost of living is, I don't go to the wet market that much because I can't speak Mandarin, and not everybody can speak Cantonese here. And straight away, any country, it doesn't have to be China. You go to, you know, I'm just naming places that I've been to: Thailand, Vietnam, Mauritius. If you don't speak the local language, you're going to pay more. If you know, in these markets that instead of supermarkets but wet markets, you're going to pay more. So luckily, every single gated community, there's several households that have centralized the delivery from Meituan. They do groceries now. So if you order the groceries before 11 p.m. the night before, you actually get it delivered to your door by 10 o'clock the next day. Anything you want in the supermarket. You know, fresh fish, they pack it up. I'll show you one of the clips. So absolutely anything you can get delivered to the door, which for me is good because I know I'm not going to get ripped off. And again, Chinese New Year coming up, if you want a bit of seafood, even if you were local, they're going to hike up the price. Everything, they hike up the price. Apples, canned drinks. Because funny enough, Chinese New Year, you actually, every time you visit a relative, you have to take a carload of gifts. Just like Christmas, I guess. But it's generally apples and drink and oil and eggs. It's just one of those things. I mean, if anyone have missed the Nanchang videos during the day and then the one I did at night, yeah, take some time to watch it. It's not much. It's only about 6-7 minutes long. But Nanchang is one really fun place to visit. But again, most food is spicy. Yes, they have McDonald's and KFC and Burger King and Chinese burger, so you can get by. And some restaurants do non-spicy food. But we live so close to Shenzhen. Shenzhen is so much fun now. I mean, I haven't really visited Shenzhen for many years properly. We've gone to a few shopping centers to take a few shots of the escalators and what have you. But again, I'll throw in a few clips. It's just every 6 months I come back, new buildings go up, I don't recognize the landscape. More stations open up in the metro system, and it's just this constant improvement. Petrol has gone up by 2 pence a litre in the last 15 months, so it's not too bad. Electricity price has actually gone down very, very little. I mean, I think something like 0.02%, but at least it's going down and it's not going up astronomically like the UK. So at home we're still looking at about 6p a kilowatt during the day and 3p a kilowatt at night time, which is 12 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning. Imagine charging your electric vehicle. It costs nothing. It costs like £2 to charge an average electric vehicle that can take you 500 kilometers for £2 charge when you charge it at home. Public charging, you can imagine, it is going to be more pricey. You're looking at maybe 12 pence a kilowatt, and at some premium places like service stations or outside exclusive hotels, they do charge up to 17 to, I haven't seen it, but I heard some hotel charge up to 20 pence a kilowatt, which is a lot in China. But again, you know, they're your 5-star hotel charging points and things like that. I'm only a small channel, so I do actually go through all the comments. I mean, it's astonishing how some people's mentality. I did one on my brother-in-law's BYD. Now I'm just introducing you guys to the cost of a car, what it looks like, what you can buy for the money. And then again, you had people going, oh, Chinese cars, they're gonna rust away in 5 years time. Oh, I was driving down a motorway, whichever country they were from. I saw 4 electric cars burnt out, all BYDs. And really, if that's true, I can't find it. I can't find any of that information on the internet. So enlighten me. Again, just and then, oh yes, that looks great, but it's a communist country. You got no freedom and democracy. It's always the same old drumbeat. Freedom and democracy. You've seen me here for the last 6 weeks. Have I been restricted in any way? Our car is registered in Anhui, and we actually drive it around in Weizhou, which is 1,300 kilometers away. Never had any issues because there's no policeman on the road. There's no need to be any policeman on the road because there's so many CCTVs. And I love the CCTVs because I know I am a law-abiding citizen and I have nothing to worry about. And really, I've said it again. Do you think the government cares where I go for breakfast, where I drive my vehicle, where I fill up for petrol, where I have my dinner? My life isn't that interesting. I do these vlogs for people that actually want to see the China itself. Through my eyes, I'm a London cabbie. I'm not a propagandist. I'm not paid by the CPC. I wish I was, then I don't have to go back to the UK. And then, oh, why don't you stay there? You know, you love China so much, you communist lover. Why don't you just stay in China? I would love to stay in China, but I have to think financially. I'm a London cabbie, okay? I worked hard to get my badge. I did 3 years of the knowledge. I am entitled to work in the UK. I'm entitled to work as a London cabbie, okay? So it's my choice to have my family here. It's my choice to do what I'm doing. Working in the UK for 4 months and come back for 2 months. And, oh, you're making a big mistake. You got these people banging on. You're making a big mistake, you know, sending your family back to China, splitting up with your family X amount of time for the year, blah, 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 blah. If I am making a mistake, it's my mistake to make. It's none of anybody else's business. And if you don't like my channel, don't like what I'm saying, don't watch it. I'm not doing the YouTube for money. I'm thousands away from making even a single penny. Okay, this is just for the people that are interested in YouTubers such as myself that come from a different country, that decide to move back to China and show you the real China. There is nothing fake. There is nothing CGI about my vlogs. Everything I take is real. You can see by the crappy footage from my drones that is not a professional drone flyer. It's me piloting a really crappy drone around. Oh no, piloting a really good drone with very bad piloting skills. I'm trying my best, but sometimes I'm worried that other drones, because wherever I take drone footage, there's always other drones flying. One, you don't want to crash into other drones. Secondly, I'm keeping an eye on the battery level. By the time I can manage to decide where to take the footage, which angle, I've used up maybe 40% of the battery already, just flapping around. So a lot of the times I panic and get my drone back to where I think is safe and it's not going to hit anyone. And so, you know, these footages, they're not CGI'd. I'm not sitting in front of a green screen like the California clowns, rambling on about how bad China is, sitting in front of a green screen and taking footage from 10-15 years ago. You know, I said before, 15 years ago when I came into China, I wouldn't consider living here at all. You know, I came to visit my friend that came to work here, and that was it. But the infrastructure is non-stop. It's so fast, the infrastructure. And why they're building the infrastructure? It's for the citizens. The government realised if you get the citizens moving around, it's good for the economy. You know, all this crap about the economy slowing down in China, the amount of new cars that I see going around, not just your £16,000 cars like my brother-in-law's. You got guys driving around in £50,000 vehicles, £60,000 vehicles, Chinese brand EVs. Neos, Zeekr, Xpeng, they're all 40,000 plus. Avatar, 30 odd thousand plus. Teslas, in fact, Tesla, they're only £23,000. It's nothing special. A Model 3, Model Y is £29,000 on the road. So there's nothing special about Teslas. More Chinese cars, Chinese brand cars. Hongqi, I mean, I've never been into a dealer because I haven't found a dealer that isn't in a shopping center, and I feel embarrassed to go in there and ask if I can do some YouTube. But their cars look really amazing. They're actually branding themselves against Mercedes as a luxury brand. I mean, considering people earning here, you know, you're looking at £400 a month up to anywhere upwards. You know, my niece, my wife's niece, just graduated from uni, found herself a job in Shenzhen in a optical company. She does all the translation for the vlogs. She made her first job £600 a month. Her supervisor is 29. Again, he's on 1,100 a month. The manager there is on 1,900 a month. So yeah, the spectrum of people's earning is so wide and vast. I can't say the average earnings of China because it's just, there's so many industry here, and I don't know what other people earn. I'm just telling you the experiences that I have. And then also there's a lot of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. You can see, you know, really young guys driving around in 40,000-50,000 pound vehicles, and it's not just parents' money. You can see, I can't put my finger on it, but you can actually see which are parents' money and which are made by themselves. Generally, the attitude is totally different. The attitude is a lot nicer. The people are a lot nicer if they made their money rather than born into it in China. That's just a broad observation. I can't, it's not everyone, but that's just from what I can see. Another thing I like to say is that most people that buy their cars here buy cash, because interest rates is quite high here, unless the brand itself does special financing, which they do, which I haven't really looked into. You know, there are brands that do 2%, 3%, but there's always a catch somewhere along the line. So most people buy their vehicles cash. There's none of this PCP business. Now, for those people that don't know PCP, personal contract plan or something along those lines. So basically, if you're not from the UK, I don't know if this is exclusively to Europe or to the UK, what have you. Just excuse me, I have to concentrate coming off this junction. If I miss this, there's going to be problems. Basically, in the UK, you pay a deposit, and then you pay a very low monthly payment, and then at the end of 3 years or 5 years, you either give back the vehicle and get nothing, or you pay the balloon payment, which is probably around at least 35-40% of the total cost itself. So most people just give it back. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense. That's just like renting a car, but it's a fancy word for PCP. That just appeared maybe in the last 10 years. In the old days, if you didn't have money, or you didn't earn high enough and get credit score, you weren't able to buy a new car. Simple as. So you got all these people on these PCPs in the UK, driving a brand new car for 3 years. You're paying for it. So it's a false economy, because you're constantly paying every 3 years. Yes, for a brand new car, you still pay for servicing, you still pay for your tires and your brakes and what have you, but it's not yours. It's never going to be yours. I mean, at the end of the 3 years or the 5 years, not many people keep their vehicle because you're tempted into buying a new one because you just hand back your one and start all over again. Again, you're in this vicious circle of a constant debt. Now in China, as I say, most people buy their cars cash. You know, when I was in Li Auto, I was looking at I love the Li Auto L9. That's my dream car. I hope I can change in about 2 years time. You know, I'm always going in there. I know that car inside out, but I'm always going in there. My wife is so tired of me going into Li Auto's dealership. 45,000 for the L9, and this guy just got out his phone, cash, paid for it, just like that. £49,000, bang, done on his phone. Alipay, WeChat Pay, whatever it was. I was doing a vlog on a Zeekr 001. Unfortunately, my daughter deleted that video accidentally, so I weren't able to put out that footage. £39,000 when I was doing that that vlog. Again, a young chap, couldn't have been more than 30 odd years old. Bosch, 39,000. Press the button, get delivery next week. Oh, and cars get delivered quick in China. None of this 6 months delivery, 9 months delivery, what have you. If you have to wait more than a week for your car, people will go to another dealer. Simple as that. They'll buy another brand. There is, you know, people are not petrol heads here. Well, you can't even call ourselves petrol heads anymore because most of these cars are EV. You know, I think 40% of new vehicles sold in China are EVs now. Again, £39,000 Bosch. My neighbour, 49,000, bought Neo last week. My wife was talking to him. Yeah, got it the next day, delivered to his house, well, to the flat in the car park. Saw him get delivery, happy as anyone can be, taking delivery of a £49,000 car. Everyone pays cash. It's a society of savings because people earn money and they save money, and they save their money and instead of wasting money and stuff. And when I say wasting money, you know, it's affordable to go out to eat here in China. It's very affordable to eat in China. No matter what you earn, there's always a restaurant, there's always entertainment for your financial bracket. We went out for Peking cuisine, 4 adults and a child. £43 that came to, in a very, very high-end shopping centre, in a very, very expensive, what looked expensive, Pekingese restaurant. £44. Couldn't believe it. My 2 aunts came from Hong Kong. They said a Peking duck costs $500-600 in Hong Kong, let alone the whole meal. So that's the real China. I mean, thank you very much for those of you that actually spent this painstaking, God knows how many minutes I've been rambling, listening to me ramble. But I try my best to churn out more good videos for you. Thank you for watching.